Peruvian President Dina Ercilia Boluarte arrived in the southern Chinese city of Shenzhen on Tuesday as part of her state visit to China from June 25th to the 29th. Now, while in Shenzhen, she is scheduled to visit several Chinese companies that include tech giant Huawei and electric vehicle maker BYD. Boluarte is also scheduled to visit Shanghai, Suzhou City, and Beijing. She is the first Peruvian leader to visit China in 8 years. Joining us now to talk more about trade between Latin America and China is Otaviano Canuto. He is a senior fellow at the Policy Center for the New South and a former vice president at the World Bank. Always good to see you, Otaviano. Thank you so much.
Always good to be here with you, Sean.
Okay, let's talk about how important these 4 or 5 days are going to be, from the 25th to the 29th. What can we expect from Boluarte's visit to China?
Look, as you aptly described, this trade relationship between China and countries in the region, in South America particularly, has become of foremost importance. China has become the first client, the major market for, let's say, the exports from Brazil, from Peru, from Chile, from Argentina, and so on. And this relationship in trade typically involves the region exporting agricultural products, not only, but also gas and oil, as it became the case for countries like Peru. Peru also has some critical minerals that are important, and there are Chinese investments in that direction. So it's natural that all the countries in the region are trying exactly to explore this possibility. Typically, China exports manufactured goods, and the region exports either agricultural products or oil and gas or critical minerals. Let's pay attention to the critical minerals. And that applies to Peru like it does with other countries in the region.
Yeah, and we can't ignore the fact that the all-important Apec meeting is coming up in just a few months. So to what degree is this going to be a precursor? How important are these discussions and the sideline talks going to be leading up to Apec?
See, Peru, like Chile, and to some extent Colombia as well, are countries that have signed to the Pacific Alliance. They have, for a long time now, they were even part of the failed American project of the TTIP, the TPP, right?
Right.
So these countries have all, seen the relevance of strengthening the connections, the trade connections with the region, including particularly in the case of China. It's also important, Sean, to keep in mind the following. There was a huge flow of finance, of lending and some investments in infrastructure by China in the region. The Belton Road initiative, kind of faded a bit starting in 2019, but it is now, let's say, in what one may call a third phase, associated particularly with clean energy products and the segments of manufacturing that have become the priority in the case of China. And that's why I understood that she's going to pay a visit, the president will pay a visit to BYD. Well, BYD is installing a factory in Brazil.
Absolutely.
And it's natural that now Peru, like other countries in the region, want to exploit the possibility of receiving manufacturing investment by China, including with the possibility of becoming connector countries in between China and the U.S.
And Otaviano, I think you're really right in pointing out that the failed TPP measure with the United States really allowed China to step in and fill this void, and it's taken full advantage of this. In Peru's approach to building economic ties with China, a whole host of leaders in tech, mining, transportation sectors are accompanying the president on this visit.
Not by chance. Exactly.
But what's it going to mean? The fact that these people are going to be able to sit down face to face and say, look, we know what you're doing in Brazil. Hey, Peru is a great place. We're very business friendly.
Right, and the Chinese may exactly diversify the destination of their investments by distributing a bit of this activity, not only in Brazil but also to other countries. And Sean, let's keep inside as well the endeavor made by China to establish bilateral swap lines of credit between the Central Bank of China, the PBOC, and central banks of all these countries. And by the way, that's what exactly allowed Argentina last year, before Milei come in, allowed Argentina to avoid a default with the International Monetary Fund. It was by using the credit swap line with China. Between China and the Central Bank of Argentina, which has been exactly renewed in the last few weeks.
Now, we've talked a great deal about the Belton Road, the difference it's making in Latin America. For Peru, example, that massive port is going in there, and it's going to be a way for Peru to really have almost a highway, if you will, to ship all its goods over to China and vice versa. How important is the Belton Road right now?
The Belton Road, in terms of magnitude, of course, is not something that precludes the necessity of other sources of finance and so on. But the fact of the matter is that in some segments, the Chinese finance became larger than the finance coming from the World Bank, plus IDB, plus CAF, the Corporación Andina de Fomento. So in terms of magnitude, it became extremely important. There were problems with the Chinese finance of some projects in Venezuela and some in Ecuador as well, in the sense that China decided to put a brake on the flow of resource and to take stock of the conditionalities that were absent and so on. But fact of the matter is that, for instance, there were not any major problems with the Chinese finance of the investment in Peru. There was at a certain moment, but nothing that could affect the prospects. So Peruvians, like the other countries in the region, are eager to have finance from China, particularly for infrastructure investments, among others.
Okay, my friend. Otaviano Canuto, I can't thank you enough for your insight. Always good to talk to you.
A pleasure. A pleasure.
Take care.